theartofconcrete.ca. In this video, I'm going to be carving styrofoam into rock. This is a basic type of styrofoam that I got off of Facebook, and essentially I'm just using a handsaw to carve the styrofoam. Now, this is the first time I've done this, and I'm basically learning as I go here, teaching myself how to do this, doing a little bit of research online, but for the most of it, I'm just trying to carve it so that it looks like rock. Now, if anybody's got an easier way to do this, I'd love to hear it. But basically, I have a shop vac, and I'm using the shop vac to suck up all the little beads that come from this, because the styrofoam is really messy. It gets on everything, and it just sticks to everything. It's not ideal to work with, but yeah, I may hook up a vacuum to this saw, and then that'll help with the amount of styrofoam. But now I'm using this styrofoam to fill a void, so I don't have to use a lot of concrete, and I can get my relative shape to what I'm building. And essentially, I'm just building a little rock, fake rock pond / pool. And these are some of the starting pieces that I'm using. And basically, I'm going to put these in, just practice carving, on the styrofoam itself to see what I can get and see how it, the shape that forms from it. Because this is relatively, I would say, pretty difficult project to take on, because you just don't know what you're really creating. You're trying to create something. So you have to have an idea in mind. And I have a general idea of what I'm trying to do. But I do have a sort of an open canvas per se to allow for some more creativity here. But yeah, the shop vac is a must, and a clean filter, because there's a lot of this styrofoam I found. I went through 2 garbage bags off of a few carvings, and it was incredible. It's almost like it expanded when I cut it. So what I'm trying to go for is a notched out design, something with some 45-degree angles. I wish I had a longer saw, just a normal hand saw. This one's a little too short, but it does carve well, it bends well, and it's pretty agile for this. And essentially, I'm just trying to get that styrofoam to look like stone. And surprisingly, it's a little bit more difficult than it seems, but it does start to come together here. You can see here, this is where I start to get some of those notches. I take the squareness down, try to get something that's looking like rock. I'm pretty particular about the way I want this to look, and so I'm going to be critical as to the way that I cut and shape it, so that everything that I'm doing is going to look similar, so that all the rocks come together to the same style. So I found online and watching other guys carve using cement and using styrofoam is that they have certain styles. There's so many different variations of artificial rock finishing, and you can veer off really easy when you're carving or when you're doing this stuff. These are some things that I've just found since I've started taking on this craft, and trying to figure out what all I can do with it here. So I'm trying to go for something that's a bold, typical style of rock, something that I felt comfortable doing that would be on the easier side of carving. Because originally I was going to do something that was a lot more complicated, but I decided to stick with this style. And I just felt like it was going to be best for me. So that's something, if you're going to do yourself, you want to practice something small because you don't want to get into a big project like I did and realize, wow, this is quite an undertaking in terms of how everything is going to come together. So give yourself some time to think about that project and how you're going to approach it and what's all involved, especially with these styrofoam carvings and the cement itself. Because already I've gone through 24 bags of concrete in my project, probably more than that, and it looks like I really didn't do anything yet. Okay, so this is a wood grain stamped patio with a color hardener border, and then I have a sort of a retainer rock wall that I'm doing here. And this is, again, this is just going to be a fill-in and a tester for me. So I have about 6 inches of concrete underneath this with rebar, and now I'm just going to take that styrofoam piece that I cut and I'm going to slide it onto this piece of metal. First I'm going to dump out some of my cement mix. So this is 2 parts sand to 1 part Portland cement. And I mix that really well in a mixer and let that run through. And now I'm just going to essentially prime everything so that the styrofoam will fit and the cement will bond and adhere to the styrofoam, or at least create a shell around it, something that I can build off of to give me my rock finish. So this is one thing, if I was going to do it again, I would probably prime the holes. So you can see me struggling to put the rebar in, and it's pretty difficult. So I wish I tried this out before I did it, so that I could get this to fit nice. And that's something that, you just learn as you go for the first time of doing something like this. Practice it, try it again, see what you come up with. So the next time I do this, I'm definitely going to think about how the pieces are going to fit, what my next piece is going to look like, because you only get one shot at this. And I just want to make sure that it looks super duper. The other option I was going to try and do is just cut squares of this stuff rather than trying to shape the actual styrofoam. I was thinking of just cutting squares up, wrapping it with the chicken wire, and then coating it like that. But instead, I just tried to do it this way. I wanted to see what I could come up with, and I was told that that the styrofoam would give me an idea of how the rock would finish. And yeah, it definitely helps. Having the styrofoam gives you somewhat of a template for your cement and the carving strategy, I guess you could say. So, that really helped a lot. And, this is a very efficient way of building something, I found. And one thing I wanted to add is the cement, the mixture that was made. This sand and cement mixture was impressively strong. So the other pieces that you can see behind me here are made with the same mix, and I coated it similar to this, and I just couldn't believe how thin and how strong this mix was on there. And that was something that I didn't think would be that strong, seeing as that it's just put on styrofoam like this. A couple of things that I'm using that you don't see in this video that you're going to see in the other videos is that I'm using a concrete mixer. So I put all my material in there, put the water in, let it mix. And I can make 4 bagfuls. Basically, I can make 4 pails full of material with this mixer, and it's continuously mixing. So it's great because I can put down a fair size area using the mixer and then apply it as I go. So I'm constantly grabbing more pails here and putting more material down after this. I want to know what you guys think. If there's another way I can cut the styrofoam, maybe there's a technique you've seen somewhere else that I could apply to what I'm doing. Yeah, so again, this is just a scratch coat, and then I'm going to apply the top layers later. Yeah, so let me know what you think, guys. I'd really appreciate your feedback, and also leave me a comment in the bottom. Where are you watching us from? I'd love to know what country or area you're watching my channel from. And I just want to say thank you very much for everybody that does come and watch my channel. I do appreciate that. Okay, so here's the second one. At this point, the cement started to dry up a little bit. You know, what I had to do is dip my glove in the water to get it to adhere better. I think too the styrofoam will absorb this cement, or something happens there because it tends to dry out a little bit on the styrofoam. So I think if I was to do this again, what I would do is make a liquid coat and use a brush, a heavy paintbrush, and just coat the styrofoam first with liquid, then apply it like this with my glove. I just feel like it would get in every area better. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this is coming out. I think a couple of things that you can see here is I have 3 artificial rocks going on, and all 3 of them were cut the same. You know, that's something I want to change, is that different size of stones or rocks, I guess you could call it, different sizes, because I want it to look as real as possible. And then what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to stain everything probably a dark gray, almost a black. So this is going to look like a rich granite, and maybe throw some flake in there or something to really set it off. But, you know, that's going to be part of it all. And through the process of me doing this, I'm putting in steel bars that I have collected over the years, pieces of metal that I'm putting in here as well, to help strengthen this as much as possible, because I want to have this project stand the test of time, and I want it in Canada. It can get pretty cold here, so I want to make sure this thing's going to be solid for many years to come. And essentially what I'm doing right now is just applying the next layer, just adding more cement on here, and also, you know, making sure that that surface is fully covered before I put the next layer on there. And here's what it looks like. It's not fully dry. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications button.